Before heading south, we called East Coast Marine Rigging Services to take a look at our rigging. They sent Noelle, and of course I, Terry, loved that she was a female rigger. Here's our video from Noelle.
This is really interesting.
Which part?
That's pretty small.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. The whole gooseneck assembly really seems kind of undersized.
Huh.
But
so we would want to beef that up a little bit if we got down to it?
The problem is that it's welded.
Yeah.
So it's
Caleb can fix that.
true. I'd be curious what the real hole size is.
Oh, you think the pin might be undersized?
Well, yes and no. I could be wrong just because again I don't see any significant damage right now. Like nothing's actually bent or whacked out of place like you would expect with this big boom and big sail. So again, I don't, it's not immediate. That would just be in my curiosity range. But
yeah, something if you pulled the mast and got down to it, you might want to.
Yeah,
check
I might
it out.
want to check the actual pin size and maybe match it because it looks like they lost a bolt and either put a metric one in or it was metric and then they put a standard pin in. There's just like a little bit of play in there.
Gotcha.
But this is the only thing I would change out right now before you go. This is just Delrin, so I would just take this off and put a real washer on there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then tighten it back up.
Okay.
Might cut that out.
Huh?
How often are you using this one?
Oh, I've raised the sail once.
Oh, but this is where this is the halyard?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd probably take that apart and just service it just to
Yeah.
make sure.
They all need that.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Feels alright. These are old winches too. That these bronze line triggers.
Yeah, they seem to work all right.
Oh, they're yeah.
Probably outlive me, huh?
Those people. Well, these are older than me.
Huh?
But nah, man, I think the previous owners really took care of this boat. So and it looks
Excellent.
like they paid attention to stuff down below too, which is really important.
You want to come down and give us a quick
Sure.
walkthrough? Can we live on the boat during this entire process? Or do we have to be off the boat while you pull the mast?
I think no, if it's just for the mast, you guys can still live on board. If
Okay.
it was chain plates and stuff where we have to get up into stuff, then that would be a little bit more of an issue.
Then we
but-
might be grabbing a hotel for a couple days.
Yeah, but as long, no, I think you'd be fine.
Chances are likely that more extensive work isn't going to be needed, though, correct?
For that stuff,
Yeah.
I don't really see anything at first glance, no, unless you had
Okay.
specific concerns. But no, really, with taking the rigs down, it's just getting the sails off, getting the booms off. Booms can live up on top, top side. What else?
And we drive over to
Turnbuckles,
Harrington Harbor North.
over to Harrington where the crane is, yeah.
So we have to rent a slip over there during the process.
Well, I mean, we could coordinate it to where if you did a lot of the prep yourself, which is pretty simple, it's just taking, like I said, taking the sails off, and you can leave the booms on for us if you really want to. We could just take it off day of, but we could coordinate something to where if you came over that day and the crane is looking good and the winds are good, and we could just snap it out, and the rigs will have to stay over at Harrington, obviously, but you could come back here with the boat at the end of the day.
Oh, okay. Come back here at the end of the
When we do our crane
day.
sessions, we try and do them really quick, and we usually do 2 or 3 boats on the same day if possible. So since you have 2 masts, it might be a few hours just to get everything, because you got to take the mizzen down first, bring it over to the mast rack, come back, so it's like a whole bunch of movement, really. But once that's done, you're free to leave.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
don't have to live over there.
No,
Then you do all the mast work, and then we
Right.
come back and do the
Yep.
same thing in a week or so when you're done.
And you can do as much or as little as you want, but for the mast step itself, if you wanted that taken out and inspected and whatnot,
Definitely.
by us, then we'd have to come over, obviously, to Hargey's and do that. But
Okay.
you could, I mean, that's 2 boats. So you could probably float that up yourselves. And
Yeah.
then, bring it over or whatever.
We can. We're kind of thinking though, this is pretty important stuff,
Mm.
and although it's maybe kind of simple, it's still probably wisest to have professionals do at least the majority of it.
Sure.
She likes Dyneema for the lifelines, by the way.
Oh, really? Huh.
Oh yeah, as long as there's no
Super
sharp
strong.
parts in the stanchions. So if you have to remount the holes or anything, just to make sure the or put plastic around it where it goes through the stanchions. I like Dyneema. It's strong. I mean, it's stronger than metal, really. Because if you're going to use 1/4-inch Dyneema, I mean, the breaking strength on that stuff is crazy. It's
That's
just,
what the dinghy's hanging by. That's
Yeah.
what Kayla put on those winches.
Absolutely. So,
Amazing.
same general concept. It's just if you take a razor blade to it, it's gonna cut it. So that's my biggest issue with Dyneema standing rigging as well.
And people do that.
Some people
little
swear by
little
it. Some people
scary.
won't touch it. I mean, I just feel like there's so much room for accidents
Yeah.
that it would be. I mean, the other part is it's a lot easier to replace it if you're out on the water by yourself. Because if you have one spool of Dyneema, it's a lot easier to do a splice out on the water, replace a shroud if you lose it, than if you have to cut a wire or whatever. If the rigs come down or something like
It's
that.
got to be
So,
lighter in carrying.
Yeah.
Very much, yeah.
And
It'd
the
be
boat
pretty
sails
bottom heavy.
differently.
So
Anyway.
That's a big change.
But yeah, for the lifelines, it's just sharp stuff. Just make sure there's no sharp stuff on it. If you graze it or something, you might lose it.
What do you think of our rigger, Terry?
Lover.
Okay, so, all right. I guess I was under the impression we'd be renting a slip over at North and staying there, but I guess not. Just day
everything-
trips.
Yeah, day trips, and it, unfortunately with the step issue, you'd be on the hook for us having to come out here, like if you came back or whatever. But
Right.
we understand like the scheduling conflicts, and if they have no space at North, like we don't
Right.
really have much choice. So
Right.
yeah, no, we can totally work with you guys.
Okay,
Um,
Do you
excellent.
have concern? You mentioned only 2 bolts. Do you have concerns with that?
If I don't see why they only use 2. It might have just been because they didn't feel like doing 4, or the step itself wasn't designed for that, or if there was a clearance underneath. But it has a big base plate down there, so
Does the base plate have?
the base plate has 4 bolts on each.
Okay.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
each corner.
the step,
And
yeah. has
Typically,
4
the
bolts.
step itself has 4, but this step, this
Oh,
is the step.
That's
So
the
yeah,
step,
this is
and
just
that'll-
the substrate.
Oh,
underneath
gotcha.
it. And so
The
this guy,
step itself only has 2.
that I can see. Maybe they put 2 underneath
right,
inside, but
And it's-
the way it's shaped,
Yeah, it's shaped different, isn't it?
yeah. So the new
Huh.
one, I might consider drilling 2 new holes and doing 4.
Okay.
Um,
See, that's why we would want probably you
Yeah.
guys to take care of that
Yeah.
piece.
you have to like draw
At
stuff
least the
out.
first time. And the first time will probably be
Yeah.
the last time for us.
yeah.
And pictures never hurt either. You want to take pictures of everything. I mean, that's how I do a lot of stuff. I'm taking stuff apart
Yep.
and putting it back together.
Right.
But the biggest thing for that step, I would want to take the step off and then maybe even grind some of that corrosion off underneath and clean that up on that big base plate and see if there's any cracks or anything in there. Because right now it's still kind of dirty.
Right.
It looks like there's fiberglass stuff on top of it and varnish. And so I'm just cleaning that up really. And until you
Okay.
do that, you can't really see what's kind of lurking underneath. So
And I don't know if you asked Noel or not, but if we took down the mast to have that work done down there, would it be wise to do all the standing rigging at the same time, or?
anytime you take the rig down, it's easier to do everything on the said rig. So we would even recommend doing the electrical while it's down if it needs to be replaced. Some of it's looking a little old, some of it looks better. Like this VHF wire is probably fine. The wind unit has probably been replaced at least once because it looks like there's an old one here that just dead ended. But like the light wires, these are looking a little grody.
Okay.
Which wires?
The white.
Light.
Oh, white.
No, light.
Oh,
light.
For the lights. Yeah,
Gotcha.
for anchor light. And then
Oh, it's dark
what goes
in here,
along
I
with
can't
that, any of the any of the light fixtures up there that are cracked or anything like that. that's always a
That's
good
a
time
good
to
time
replace
to
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
And
with
we're
the
talking
standing-
about new instruments as well,
Yeah. So
because
that's everything's always easier when the rigs are
everything's
down.
old
Yeah.
ish. But she said she thought the boat was well maintained, and it
Very
was,
well maintained.
but just not upgraded in
Right.
time. But they never got to
It was
that
a little
point.
bit upgraded. I mean,
Little
they
bit.
did something with the standing rigging, and they got stay locks on the bottom. So
Okay.
it's like I said, it could be so much worse, and it looks like they took care of it to the best of their ability. So
Okay.
Awesome. That makes me feel much better.
Yeah. All right.
my biggest concern is seeing what's underneath and
Yep.
maybe putting a level on that piece of steel just to see if it's dipping or anything. But
Or just putting a new piece in there.
yeah,
Just
it really could be. It's probably going to be that simple.
yeah.
I don't want to make any promises.
I would
obviously,
be.
but-
I would kind of be in favor of just doing that. Just putting new.
Oh yeah.
Just
At the very
planning
no,
on it.
I would absolutely replace that step. But
Yeah.
the substrate underneath, who knows?
Okay.
I need to see. We need to
And
see if
then-
it comes up. It
yeah.
kind of looks like it's glassed in.
Right. You
So I'm
mentioned
not
that.
quite sure.
Yeah,
But we
and
could
then maybe
probably still make it down to the Bahamas this year before doing it. Okay.
Just keep an eye on water coming out of the bottom of both rigs. You're saying it's coming out of that one. That's good. With
Yeah.
this one, it looks like there's a channel that's
Yeah.
built into the back. So as long as that's kind of staying dry and
I've
like
never.
I said, just keeping an eye on everything. Because like with the corrosion down here, if we took the rig out, I would probably clean that up as well and to make sure that because it literally eats the aluminum away. So you're not really going to see how much damage is done, but until you take it apart. But
Right.
I've seen so much worse. So yeah, it doesn't look as bad as it seems. That helps.
Okay.
It does.
That
help.
does help a lot.
Yes.
Good. Timing wise, do you guys have a really busy season?
This year has been so crazy and weird.
Okay.
I think coming out of 3 years of COVID, everybody and their brother
It's
is
still
on the
not.
water.
Yeah, it's still not right.
Okay.
But as for us personally,
So-
but I mean, winter is always a good time for us
Oh,
for big
okay.
projects like this.
Okay.
Okay.
Like because it gives people, especially liveaboards, like if you wanted to go do something else while we did the work
Right.
and it's cold here, you don't really want to be burnt.
Well, we're probably going to be here till almost December.
Okay.
Um,
And
maybe
then you're
even a
gonna
little
go
longer.
South.
Then we're
for-
going to head south for 2-3 months,
Yeah,
4
we'll have to
months,
see.
Yeah. I mean,
10 years.
I
We
don't
don't
think
know
I'm
for
gonna
sure.
make it 4 months, but my grandbabies are up here, so we'll see.
We'll see.
The biggest thing with us is just scheduling ahead of time. So whenever you guys
Yep.
get your float plan and you figure out when you're going to be back here for an extended period of time, we can work with you. We don't like to schedule more than like 6 months to even a year out. I mean, we can.
Mhm.
That's good for us because then if we have it on our schedule, we can parcel out that time
Yeah.
so that you can be a priority.
But no more than probably 6 months out.
No, I mean you can really if you know for sure you're going to be in that spot and we can schedule it, and then if the time comes you got to change stuff up. That's one thing, but
Okay.
the further out for us is always better.
Okay.
Yeah, as like
That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
And I don't. There's nothing like temperature dependent for us either. If that helps.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
does
obviously summer's hot, but
Yeah.
like fiberglass work, that kind of has to be planned if they don't have a bay with a heated inside or something. So we don't really have to deal with any of that, thankfully. So
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Don't have to worry about that. Okay. Good.
All right.
I feel so much better. Feel
Good.
so much better. You have no idea. I was just really concerned about that mess stuff.
Good.
So you've been a rigger for what, 10 years or so?
Not yet. Be 7 in October.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Learn
Do you love it?
Learn new stuff all the time.
Really?
I do.
Okay.
I do. It's hard on the body for sure, but
I'm noticing
No,
just all things boat related is hard on the body.
it really is.
It's his head so much.
The joints. It's
Oh,
the joints.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But no, it is rewarding. I like helping people, and I like to find
good.
broken stuff. So
There you
Yeah.
go.
that's
Awesome.
That's the fun part for me. But
Find it and fix it.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
She said our whisker pole's a little bit small for this size of boat. We
Good to
probably
know.
I was asked her if she could fix it, and she said maybe have to ask Steve, but we might just want to get a bigger one.
Okay.
Yeah, or I mean, people sell that random stuff all the time too. So there's no guarantee you won't be able to find a bigger one for cheap.
Oh, there's
somewhere in
so
a
many
graveyard
people
or
here.
something.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be ridiculous. You know, you don't need like a carbon fiber pole or anything like
No.
that.
How much
and-
bigger?
Just the width. It's kind of small.
Oh,
Yeah,
just the
especially for
width,
that
not the
sale.
Kind
length.
of skinny.
Well, the length, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but that pole itself is kind of a little dinky for that big of a sale. He said it, what, he said like a 120.
120, I think. I think it's a 120. The general, yeah.
I think so. It's just more
We have
liable
a-
to break, that's all.
We have
It's not-
100%
There's no
jib.
guarantee it will, but I mean, a strong gust hits and it just goes whack.
Yeah.
Light wind is probably going to be fine, like I said.
But there's when it rains, there's water that comes down there.
Well, there's water, but it pools in that far corner,
This far?
clear over there, in the starboard side.
Gotcha.
This is Noelle. She is with, I don't know the company.
East Coast Marine Rigging.
East Coast Marine Rigging.
Because you know where we live on the East Coast.
I know. I can't believe
We're a
it
couple
either.
of Midwesterners.
Yeah. Oh, we can move that.
I should.
Can you move that?
Oh yeah.
Stool?
And then I'm actually going to step out
Okay.
of here.
Yeah, I'm just
Three
gotta get my
people's
head
a lot.
underneath.
Shaft. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I put my head into worse spots. Toilet paper in the shot. That's
Great. So Noelle is checking the mizzen mast. We've had some water after rainstorms in the aft head. Just want to make sure that anything going on that needs fixed before we head south.
I can't really see or get to the actual substrate that's underneath the mizzen itself.
Okay.
The way that this step is designed, like if you take the mast out, there's probably 4 bolts inside of there that are lag bolted into whatever's underneath of it. But for what I can feel, at least from the surrounding area in the aft side, I mean the wood feels really solid.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't look like the. Remember how I was talking about that bow and arrow kind of thing, where it all of the pressure is coming down on the mast and it's caking it basically right there. If you see that dip, I don't really see any indication of it dipping more than normal. And you said that the water, once it comes out, it pools into that corner.
Right.
So as long as it's not sitting with the mast, because
Okay.
when the water sits there, if it freezes ever, that's a point of expansion.
Ooh,
so
yeah.
that could damage the mast. And if it sits at the bottom, that mast step is usually cast aluminum or regular aluminum, and or even steel. And if that's against the aluminum, it's dissimilar metal, so
Oh,
it'll
right.
sit there and just like corrode out.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of indication of that happening, so it looks like it's draining well at least.
Okay. So there's
Is there
probably-
any way in the front to kind of, no, there's like a sig here. So my only point of concern is that I can't see underneath
Right.
totally, but
I don't know if there's another access point.
yeah, because this floorboard doesn't really come up. I wonder.
I don't know.
think that
maybe-
floorboard comes up
there's-
either.
Maybe through the engine room,
Yeah. That's,
if you're brave enough.
I don't even think I'd be
She's a
able to see
female
anything in
rigger.
there.
She's brave enough.
I just don't know if
I
I'd
told
be-
you. I warned her about you.
It's kind
I
of nice
know.
that they designed the bathroom to be around this, because I mean it's gonna leak no matter what.
Is it really?
Yeah, because water comes down, it's got to go somewhere. There's
Right.
holes up on the top of the mast and stuff. So,
Right.
you're gonna get water no matter what you do. It'll be less if there's not a giant gaping hole or whatever. If it's not like a bigger issue, but as long as it's draining, that's all you need to worry about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the drain's right next to it, so no cracks or anything. This one's got good support too. Yeah. Looking good so far. I'd like to go topside and kind of see some of the rain
Okay.
and the chain plates and stuff up there.
Okay.
I'm just going to follow you around a little bit and listen to you when you say words.
So the biggest thing that I see is, like I mentioned, the stay locks. So that's a good sign. These turnbuckles are definitely newer than what was on the boat before. It looks like they used some of the old pins. No, I'm just saying for the age of the actual rigging.
Oh, gotcha.
Because there's no stamps on these turnbuckles, but they look like first generation Haim turnbuckles, which Haim used to not have stamps on anything, but it's in the same shape as a Haim one. It doesn't look like stay lock turnbuckle, but it looks like stay lock fitting, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And this pin was from the first set of rigging. It's a Merriman pin, and Merriman went out of business in like the late 80s. early 90s.
Okay.
So it's just like kind of a little bit of a mismatch. I like this. Never seen a furler like offset like that.
Oh, I thought I turned that off. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
No, but I need to turn that off.
Please out. This one?
Oh, they don't. It doesn't feed out. It's you go out by hand. It only
Okay.
comes in. Both of them come in.
I just made that kind of tight. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. Not a problem. I didn't realize I hadn't turned that switch off, so I'm glad you did that.
Not exactly conventional.
Yeah?
First of all, it's off to the side. And then second, it just goes right to a pin. Usually the toggle from the furling assembly would go around like this guy.
Yeah?
Would sandwich here.
Yeah?
Something like that, but curious how it was designed from the beginning, but I'm assuming, is this boat like super custom?
It has some customizations, yeah.
So,
And I think the double anchor is one, and the
yeah, I mean somebody built that.
yeah.
But I mean, you've gone sailing with it. It's working out okay.
It seems to work just fine.
Okay. It has I mean, it has the biggest thing with furlers is you want to make sure that the oscillation can go every way. So you want to have this motion and then also forward and back.
Uh-huh.
Just because that thing is constantly moving around and turning and doing all that stuff.
Right.
And you have both of those things, and I mean, it's an old furler, but it still looks like it's in good shape. So
Okay.
these Harkins will last forever if you take care of them.
Cool. Just have to figure out what that means. Take care of them.
It's like soap and water.
Oh,
Yeah, so if salt.
I can do that.
Yeah, so I was describing downstairs that dissimilar metal.
Right.
So over time, you just want to make sure you get that salt out of the metal. The salt will make the corrosion worse so much quicker. So with the Harkin furlers, they just recommend soap and water after like a really salty excursion or whatever. Just that's it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Soap and water. We
Yeah.
can do that.
At first glance, everything. I agree with Steve. There's some of this going on.
Yeah, I do.
This candy caning, we like to call it, and that's it's hard because it's like, again, it's not an indication that something's broken underneath,
Right.
but there's a likelihood that something could be broken underneath in that one in the 1x19 strand, and then, you know, if one of those strands is leaking rust or whatever because it's broken underneath, that could cause the candy caning.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's just old rigging.
There's little pieces of rust coming through.
Yeah. So, but it's. If I had to put a guess on it, I probably wouldn't have put it past like 20 years old. So,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, where has the boat been?
All over the world.
All over the world. I I said, it's in really good shape for that. So, and without climbing and inspecting spreader tips and all that stuff, at first glance, I don't know what to say.
Hey, this pole,
It is good. Yeah, this guy.
this needs some work.
Yeah.
The springs shot.
Mhm.
Do you do things like that?
Well, that's a good question.
I mean, like, can you just take it with you and then bring it back fixed someday?
I want to say yes, but I don't even know what brand pole this is.
Me either.
Oh, it's Force Bar. Okay.
But it doesn't need much. I mean,
No,
this
but I
needs
don't
replaced in
see. Honestly, that's
spring.
kind of more of a Steve question because
Okay.
he does most of the ordering
Okay.
and talking to the people that sell this stuff. So I don't know if you would need to like find this part somewhere and replace the whole thing. I've never replaced a spring in it.
I was gonna.
Like the spring is just right in
Yeah,
there, but
right.
I don't know if that has to be built into the actual casting or if you can take that apart.
I watched a YouTube where they took it
They
apart.
took it apart.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I mean, all you got to do is take these
Just those two pop
these
rivets.
rivets out, and then the whole thing comes out.
Yep.
And then I'm sure you could get to the spring in there.
Yeah, I was gonna do it, but I have so many other things that I need
Yeah.
to do. I'm afraid. What I'm afraid of is I'm not gonna fix it, and then I'm gonna want to try to use it without this being very secure,
Mm-hmm.
and then that is something that I shouldn't do.
Well, this pole, I mean, this whisker pole is a little undersized at the same time.
Oh.
So, I mean, if you're gonna budget out something like that, you might just want to budget a new pole or.
Oh, really? It's
Yeah,
a little
it's like-
undersized, you
I
think?
mean, it's pretty small. You're using it
Okay.
for this jib, right?
Yeah.
What size is the jib?
Oh, it's 120, I think.
Yeah. I mean, this is a pretty patchy boat. Big sail. This is kind
Yeah.
of dinky.
It does extend.
It's extend. It's just a width.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
I mean, it's something. If you didn't want to buy it, you could totally still use it. It just might break
So-
in half.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
but-
Good to know. Good to know.
It kind of looks like they just kind of bought it for whoever had it.
Yeah. They put a little handmade block up there.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, there is a 100% jib. Maybe they used it for that.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, definitely a smaller one. Lifelines. I saw lifelines was in there.
I'm gonna do those myself.
Okay. Yeah.
Re-
Are you
re-
gonna get Suncor stuff or something?
I want to go Dyneema.
Okay. I like that.
I need to rebed the stanchions, and I want to put Dyneema in there. It didn't have a gate, so I kind of rigged that up just so we can get on. We don't
Yeah.
sail much right now. We're just getting it all fixed up.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then we're going to do some serious sailing, but
No,
So-
Dyneema's great. I mean, you can just. Excuse me. I mean, you can tighten it up really well if you just do it like on a knot on itself.
yeah.
Yeah, and then just a bunch of lashing. That's what I would do. Whoever gets rid of this crap, I hate this stuff.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, because it starts to splinter too.
Oh, well, that
So-
would hurt.
Oh yeah, like we call them meat hooks.
Eh, I like the nylon, the look of it and the feel of it, but I don't think we're going to go that route.
This still moves.
What?
I said this still moves. Cool. Yeah.
Because sometimes they don't.
A lot of times, if it oscillates and it's next to this, and
Yeah.
be wondering if this would ever come out. These screws. Paint is a little bit worrisome, but
Yeah.
that's just more for corrosion purposes than anything else. You don't have to have painted stuff, but be curious to see if these screws move, but you don't really need to touch it right now. So.
Okay.
huge thank you to Steve and Noelle from East Coast Marine Rigging. 105-degree heat index that day. We so appreciate your insight and knowledge. We look forward to getting our work done through you this coming spring. Thanks.